So I'll be straight up honest with people. I'll be straight up honest with people. I'm dying. I'm sick as a dog. I'm on. If this air conditioner doesn't kick on, if this air conditioner kicks on, it'll be like audio hell for you people. But if it doesn't kick on, I'm gonna drop my clothes. First things first, there are no links in the video below. Okay? In the video below, in the description box below. I will rectify that situation at a later date. Probably. But if I wanted to get any semblance of what I wanted to get done in this video, time was of the essence. So it wasn't possible to do what I wanted to do. And hey, Jonaside, I say to you, baby, I say hello to you, baby, but I'm actually going to put the comments to the side. But yo, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Colin? Just let me know if you can hear me. I'm all paranoid. Yo, man, I am like bugged out on Diseaseville. I would have been live like yesterday, but honestly, I was sick as a dog. We say hello to Mario Heat, and then I'll just as once I get confirmation that people can hear me, and hopefully people don't like just BS me that they can hear me. Yo, first, what I'll assume people can. Bucky, can anyone hear me? Bucky, you son of a gun. I know it was you, baby. You troll. I know it was you. You dick dog motherfucker. You son of a bitch. Oh, you're a son of a bitch. Oh, you're a son of a bitch. I don't know. I gotta wait for Jonaside. Now I can trust Tim Frey because he's British and they never lie. Bucky. Man, you're as deceptive as the RPG Pundit. Yo, okay, now I'm gonna put y'all to the side and I'm gonna get straight to the business. Yo, the Shadowdark Wars continue because nothing says we care a lot about TTRPGs and we're super genius adult males. And what dog males has nothing to do with we're super genius adults. Well, hey, it's a LARP, right? Hey. But sometimes the games go too far, and I went too far before I set it to unlisted. I'm not going to set it to private, but I'll set it to unlisted. Eventually, the last video that I did that it was a response to the OGGM. I did what thou shalt not do on YouTube. I went guns. I did what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to watch the video. And you're supposed to give yourself a minute to concentrate, think about what you want to say, and then say it. If I had taken the time, I would have said things differently, but I didn't. I watched OGGM's video, which I had problems with, where he characterized, I believe unduly and unfairly, all critics of Shadowdark as being categorically of being not of value and whatever. And then I watched his video, and as his video played, my anger meter went up. And as my anger and my seeing red, I was seeing red like Janie Lane. I saw red. Then I hit the webcam on and I said a whole bunch, and I came at the dude from Site B in Costa Rica, like JFK coming at Fidel Castro at the Bay of Pigs in a Blanket. And I just went off, and whatever points I wanted to make that were salient and cogent got probably most likely lost in a whole bunch of kerfuffle shuffle. But I don't want to take the attitude of just disappearing it down the rabbit hole and acting like it didn't happen, it didn't exist, especially because another dude DM Bloodworth made it known that he was going to respond to my video. So I'm going to set it to unlisted, which means that you'll need the link to see it. I'm not going to privatize it, meaning I'm not going to take it off. I'm just going to put it where you're going to need the link, but I'll put the link in the description box below here eventually before I do that action, so people will be able to see the stupid video that I'm referring to here, that I regret saying some of the things that I said. I don't think it was, I think that OGGM made a mistake in saying some of the things that he said, but I definitely think that I made a mistake in responding the way that I did. Having said that, I want to make it known that my response was a direct response to his video and not a response directly to any other people that may have made other statements regarding people criticizing Shadowdark. And people have been saying things about Shadowdark. Look, individuals make individual comments, and I think part of the problem that we're running into, and we need to be aware of, is I'll try to respond to the live chat, at the end of the thing, but I'm gonna just keep on going forward so I don't get confused myself, or we don't get too lost in the woods. Is treating people like a crowd, like individual people make individual comments, individual people make individual statements, and we make an error when we lump a whole bunch of people in together. Also, I think another thing has happened because, look, I'm a noted vaginal satanist ball washer. I'm kidding. Wagner Satanist is, right of me politically. I'm on, the left of the left of the left, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think some of the things that he may have said may have been taken out of context, by certain people regarding the shadow darking of certain things. And other people have made responses and have interpreted certain things that I think that he has said, maybe possibly out of context. In his last statement, as he exited, stage right, as it were. And since, I made my video, I've seen a live podcast by the Basic Expert on his panel that he hosted on the Natural Ones. And I saw this video that I'm going to respond to directly today with Black Lodge Games, where I said Black Lodge Games Red Wedding, the Pundit, RPG Pundit. They set that dude on fire. And I just want to make, some things, point by point clear, but I'm just going to cover it. I don't know if I made some factual errors in my last video, but at the same time, I think that we don't want to lose facts in the shuffle. And I think people want to take time to be wary of making, blanket statements. I made a mistake in my last video. Not only did I misspeak, but by speaking too fast and speaking in rage, and therefore said some things, angry statements, or spoke too gruff or too aggressively regarding OGGM. I made a factual error because, rather than taking the time to research and go back and review a video to make sure I had my facts absolutely correct, I just kind of went from memory, and I misremembered something. And in this remembering something and just kind of going on my memory, I got a fact wrong. So I have to take that video down and set it to private and make this retraction. I think Black Lodge Games, and I think maybe the Basic Expert may be doing something similar, because, there are things that are subject to opinion. And there's aspects of this thing about whether or not, the marketing behind Shadowdark is just expert marketing, or whether or not, Kelsey Dion is playing by the rules or not playing by the rules. There are things that people can have differences of opinion on. And talking about the success and just saying that, this thing was just a success because it was just hard work. And I want to make it very clear. I don't begrudge anyone's success. At the same time, and people can disagree with me about this, I'm the type of guy that acknowledges and knows that I live in reality. I read the Bhagavad Gita and I read the Bible. And I read in the Bible where it says, from those who have everything, everything will be given. And from those who have nothing, everything will be taken away. And understand that it's basically like life's not fair. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, don't have any attachment to results because, life's not fair. You're not, it is what it is. The reality of life is the reality of life. And the people that succeed don't necessarily succeed because they're the hardest workers. And if you work hard, you're going to make it. And if the person is a bum on the street, it means that, they were a lazy sod. And I think people are being a little flip about, just how orchestrated, this whole marketing thing behind Shadowdark was. And there were some statements that I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I want to go back because I don't know if Black Lodge Games, if we go back and look at the fact pattern and see, I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything underhanded. But there's this thing about, she didn't pay, Professor DM at Dungeon Craft any sort of payola or anything. That's not, I'm not saying that she paid him payola, but if you look at really what happened, and if you look at the fact pattern, if you look at the number of YouTubers that really got behind Shadowdark and the number of powerful people on the YouTube influencer community that obviously, really, really supported this thing from the get. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but just like, it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, when we act as though Shadowdark succeeded just because it's the best game out there or whatever, that's not exactly true. There's corporate machinations at work. And it was just like with the OGL crisis, the so-called OGL crisis, there were aspects of the OGL crisis that were orchestrated, I believe, by people clearly had motivations to make the OGL crisis seem worse than it was and to keep it going long after, D&D, WotC had made concessions, put things into the Creative Commons. There were people that had financial vested interest in Pathfinder. Matt Mercer, who had vested interest in seeing their game succeed. They had vested it. They kept things going. And so just because party A doesn't necessarily have your best interest at heart and maybe bullshitting you a little, doesn't mean that party B is not bullshitting you too. And I'm not here saying to you that it's anything other than, Coke versus Pepsi. I mean, they're both selling you, poison sugar water. And I'm not saying that Shadowdark is poison sugar water. The fact of the matter is that when doing the research for this video, I looked back at Professor DM's original, because I was hunting through his archives to get to the first Shadowdark video. And watching his first Shadowdark video, I was like, actually, I might actually pick this thing up because it actually sounds better than I originally thought it was when I took a look at the quick start rules. I got nothing against Shadowdark. I got nothing against Kelsey Dion. I'm not here saying that that this is some sort of scamola, but I am saying that if you look at this thing, people might have a certain point to make about. Look, if you're going to act as though all marketing is totally acceptable and cool, and I think people also might be getting a little bit defensive because Black Lodge Games have a supplement material coming out for Shadowdark. Victor, who was on the Natural Ones thing, had stuff coming out for, maybe Basic Expert might have stuff coming out for Shadowdark. So if you're down with Shadowdark and then people start coming out at Shadowdark, then, it's now we're getting into team battles and stuff. it may be better if people just took the attitude of, if someone's wasting their time talking crap about a game, maybe just don't join in and going back. Now, I got nothing coming out for nothing. I don't give a gosh darn. I buy TTRPG books and play by myself. You know what I mean? And read them or don't read them, or put them on top of my head or whatever. But if we get to the fact patterns and burn through the fact patterns, you'll see that it may not be exactly payola, and I got some of the fact pattern wrong, but people are networking, and people are, you can't just say that it was not a big time push. And I also want to make another point. At the end of their video, Black Lodge Games, the little guy, I'm not trying to be insulting. The other guy's a big, tall drink of water, Big Red. So the little guy says that they're not part of the culture war. They're not a culture war channel. Brother, come on now. You're not a culture war channel. You have Joe Biden, a robot Joe Biden voice reading out the comment section. It's not because you love Joe Biden, right? Get the out of here. You're constantly talking about liberals and liberal tactics and techniques. You're constantly talking about feminine, with a weakness as feminine as a synonym for weakness amongst men. Get the hell out of here. You're not a culture war channel. Get the heck out of here. You're not a culture war channel. You might not have it in the name like diversity and dragons or whatever, but you absolutely got to know that you're part of the culture war channel on the right. And if you don't know, then you're probably, you might be lacking a little bit of self-awareness. And it's the same thing with, the basic expert might have this problem too, because I know that a lot of these people might not know and understand. You can't stay neutral on a moving train. That's a quote by a guy called Howard Zinn, who wrote a book called A People's History of the United States. I know some of y'all are championing Kelsey Dion because, she's up in, big up in your Kickstarters for Shadowdark, whatever. But just, trust and believe that there may come a time where you turn around and I turn on your YouTube channels and see you saying, we didn't think that she was woke. She was nice to us in the beginning. But now, now that the heat is on, now all of a sudden she's saying that our opinions, because believe you me, that guy Aaron C. was on the Natural Ones podcast with Basic Expert on the live stream with Basic Expert. And he was asking, they mentioned that Kelsey Dion was a lesbian, and he asked, "Oh, is she crew cut or lipstick?" Yo, that might come around to bite you in the ass. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't, and I'm not saying that it should or it shouldn't. I'm just saying I come from the Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, who gives Bill Hicks school of, let's say what we want to say. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. Let's rock and roll and say what we want to say. But at the same time, I know that that's the kind of thing that could come back and bite you in the ass. And don't be surprised if at some point the attitude that Kelsey Dion may have taken in her Discord service to say, "Oh, don't say this or don't say that, or this guy's okay or that guy's okay, or we're still going to promote his Kickstarter." Don't be surprised if at some point in the future, if things keep on growing as people seem to expect that they will, that attitude or opinion changes. But on with the show. Look, if I had more time, I would spend more time going through these things in more detail. Let me get to, here was my rough timestamp, and I'll show you these videos. So here was Black Lodge Games. The video in question was this. They came out, they made a video called "The RPG Pundit is a Liar." Now, people know I debated the RPG Pundit, if you want to call it that, one time, many moons, regarding that there was that crazy article that came out that was supposedly by a legitimate psychologist that turned out to be just basically a promo piece for Zack Sabbath or whoever. And there's no real love lost between me and RPG Pundit. I'm not a fan. So let me just start off by saying that the basic premise that RPG Pundit is, a bad faith actor or plays, both sides against the middle, or could be disingenuous. I don't necessarily disagree. I'm not a friend of the RPG Pundit. I'm not a fan. If you see my send-off video to Avenger Satanis, you'll see that I don't have kind words for RPG Pundit at all. Okay? I do not stand for RPG Pundit. Okay? To the degree that I'm not saying shit about RPG Pundit right now is to the degree that I'm being, nice and political, because the guy's already bleeding out, because these guys, like I call it the Red Wedding, they just absolutely they destroy him. But it's not that he didn't necessarily have it coming. But the guy, the guy believes in white replacement theory. First of all, we're gonna get to the thing where he goes against the notion that he's gonna go against Jeffro Johnson for being a supposed, look, if a guy is potentially a racist and goes off after another guy for being an anti-Semite, that's like saying, you're racist against Jews. Meanwhile, RPG Pundit is, I believe, it's been firmly established that he's an advocate of white replacement theory, which is racist. So it's like, you know what I mean? Well, I may hate, people with brown skin, but you don't like the Jews. So that's much, much worse. What? You know what I mean? It makes no sense at all. You're both racist. I don't know if Jeffro Johnson is anti-Semitic or not. My only understanding is when I tried to do research on whether or not Jeffro Johnson was a racist, I came across a video by DM James trying to defend Jeffro Johnson against the allegation on about anti-Semitism. That just only proved to me that DM James was absolutely 100% an anti-Semite. And if people are going to say, but no, DM James was raised a Jew, I just want to say I don't believe that that's true. I think DM James's biographical sketch seems to be pretty whack, but that's a tale for another story. Let's join the story already in progress at the 30-minute mark.
The meme is memorable. Pundit is not.
Oh god, my phone is terrible.
TTRPG Guide to Woke Companies. So this is basically like, I'm assuming, some sort of a blacklist.
A lot of people have heard about this. This thread, I think, started after the OGL.
I literally have
maybe it was
like headphones
before, but there was
probably
a list
came
of quote unquote woke companies
with like
that
the
was sort of
dictaphone that they
here,
tried to teach Spanish
online,
in like 1978 in high school.
Figure out people, who are the people who are making games that hate you and don't buy their shit.
Them. Yeah, and which is
fair. But
it is fair to an extent, but it's also like this is the
where I want to get to is we're starting at the 30-minute mark, but we're going to get to 34 minutes and 50 seconds.
Like when you engage in this mindset that I have to there
has to be political document, and I have to track these people and keep tabs on everything they say and the tone in which they say it, so that I can look out for wrongthink.
Right.
Whether it's coming from the left, which
and
it
so
usually
where we're
does,
at now is
or
they're
whether it comes
discussing
from the right.
RPG Pundit's criticism of Kelsey Dion.
Don't do shit like this.
The authoress
buy good games.
Shadowdark.
Games. Yes, you're smart enough.
That's the criteria. You are smart enough
and
to
they're going back to his old post.
Does anyone know anything about Kelsey Dion and the Arcane Library? I only just heard of her Shadowdark book at all today. When I was also in very short order learned it uses a system very similar to Lion and Dragon's background, XP, and especially level benefits, random table system. And that she paid Dungeon Craft and Questing Beast to do infomercials
this is important.
Disguised as quote reviews. Questing Beast at least had the courtesy to say so right at the start of the video, but I know nothing of political alignment.
Right. What that means is this is an enemy I am identifying for.
Okay, so
second of all, she didn't pay Dungeon Craft.
She didn't pay Dungeon Craft. Now, I want to be completely honest and say I got a story incorrect in my last video where I said, and it's not the first time that I told the story incorrectly, that Professor DM, fellow Jersey boy, by the way, along with Stephen Glicker's a Jersey boy as well. I don't know if originally, but I know they're around here now. Also member of the tribe. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. He's a shill, though. He's a shill for Pathfinder, but that's a story for another time, part of the OGL scam. But I don't want to go too far afield. This question about, now, look, I'm not accusing anyone doing anything underhanded, but this notion that she didn't pay Professor DM for review is pertinent and important, because I'm not saying that there's anything totally absolutely crazy here. But let's get to the 38-minute mark, because I think that Black Lodge Games are being completely innocent here.
Didn't pay him because Dungeon Craft doesn't have that policy. So
Ben Min from Questing Beast gets paid for reviews that he does. That doesn't guarantee you a great review, but that's his policy. He gets paid for reviews. That's his policy. Like it or lump it, take it or leave it. It is what it is. Professor DM over at Dungeon Craft, that's not his policy. And it's been stated she did not pay him. There's no payola. There was no exchange of goods, no remittance of anything. That's important. And Black Lodge Games are backing her up on that. And they will show, quote unquote, receipts to back this up. Now, look, I want to be very careful to make it clear that I'm being pedantic about this issue. Okay? But I want to be clear that being pedantic about this issue will illustrate the point that she's not being completely honest. Because when we get to the truth of the matter, absolutely there's an absolute connection, and there's back and forth between these two players. And to say that Professor Dungeon Craft wasn't given remittance by her is fallacious, and we'll get to that. Because look, here, let's get to the 38-minute mark, and we'll get to it, because she actually responds to I believe RPG Pundit on Twitter. Here we go. We're gonna get to the 38-minute mark. Here we go. They go to the Wayback Machine. They're doing their digging and due diligence, and they find Kelsey Dion's response to, again, I am being pedantic. And do I think Kelsey Dion has committed high crimes and misdemeanors, and she's some sort of terrible liar? No. Do I think Professor DM is being disingenuous to his audience to the degree that his role as a professor, as a teacher of students, should be called into question? And there's a reason why he got, prostate cancer? No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm looking at the web archive on this one. Let me see if I got the no. Okay, we'll get to that one later. So this is the web archive. Unfortunately, I brought up the wrong one, but but he deleted that tweet. Deleted. Yeah. Arcane Library then did respond and said, this is a lie and frankly slanderous. Unfortunate that I need to hit back over this, but here are the facts. The only person I paid for a review of Shadowdark RPG was Ben Milton, as is his ordinary practice. Nobody else received any money, payola, benefit, or otherwise.
Right. And to imply from Pundit's perspective that it's underhanded in some way, it's sleazy, it's slimy. Could
it be that the hobby is historically made up of
and again, they're not part of the culture war, but they have the
that's part of it.
That's part of it, for sure.
But Biden voice speaking.
Yeah, that it's underhanded in some way to give review copies to reviewers.
Right.
That's insane. Now, just because these YouTubers are more successful than you, Pundit, and you're putting them in the category of quote-unquote influencer. Right. You're putting them in a different bucket that you're denigrating for the purposes of delegitimizing their influence or the utility of letting them weigh in to get the fucking word out, to market the product. Not only is it insane, it's 100%. You know this.
Right.
This is clearly obvious, and this is a bad faith attempt. It's a bad faith smear attempt.
It's what.
Well, I mean, look. I mean, I take no position on it, but let's just get to the point where to say that it's slander, so there's no gratuity or whatever. So let's do this. Let me just do this point, because I mean, and I bear in mind, I acquiesce that I'm being pedantic. I also acquiesce that I'm attempting to correct a mistake that I made factually in an earlier video. The first video that I'm aware of Professor Dungeon Craft making about Shadowdark was uploaded on I believe it was uploaded on February 28th, 2023. Bear that in mind when he comments that he received a PDF copy of the finished product, and he says she can deliver. He talks about not normally backing Kickstarter products, but that she's got the full thing finished. He's got the full PDF, and she can deliver. That's a statement, number one. That's a guarantee of future performance by a third party. You can make of that what you will. As an attorney, I can tell you it is technically a possibly problematic statement. But again, I'm being pedantic. But you can be pedantic. His second video, now remember, that was February. His next video is how Shadowdark broke $1 million, episode 316, 6 episodes later. Folks, watch this video because it is what it is. It is what it is. Here we go. Again, I want to say, Professor DM, Jersey boy. Professor DM made it through the prostate cancer treatment and is apparently doing great. We love Professor DM. I don't think Professor DM is a bad dude. Not at all. I don't think he's a scumbag. I don't think he's trying to pull one over. I don't think he's intentionally being deceptive. But at the same time, we have to look at that statement about he was not given nothing and no one changed money and no one changed hands. Let's watch it. Also, I want to bring it back to the thing about if I'm being sexist about anyone, I'm not being sexist about Kelsey Dion being a chick. I'm being sexist about dudes in the TTRPG space being hard up for women. And whether or not Kelsey Dion is getting preferable treatment because she's a lady. Because we're going to get to, she also got that article in Forbes. Does anybody get an article in Forbes? No one else gets an article in Forbes, but the lady does. And why? Who knows? Anyway, but she partied with the Gary Gygax people. The old dudes like the girl too. What do you know? I'm just saying. And none of this means anything. And if you like Shadowdark, that's fucking awesome. It's probably great. But guess what else is great? The fact that 2 years from now, most likely, we'll all be talking about some other game as if that's going to save TTRPGs, which it won't. Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter. But anyway, Columbo, me, is on the case, and everybody, pedantically, is going to be where everyone's lying.
In my opinion, the biggest news...
And my audio. Oh, fair use. Fair use on everything. This is our review news. This is all newsworthy. Everything is news. Everything is newsworthy. This is not abuse of anyone except the little guy on Black Lodge Gaming. And I like his feet. I bet you if I make comments about that dude's feet and liking his feet, he's going to get self-conscious about his feet. And he won't show his feet as much. Well, I like it, the feet. I'm on the rainbow and I like feet. Hey, Black Lodge Gaming little guy. I like your feet. We might not agree politically, but I like your choice of swim trunks and I like your feet. Oh, and by the way, I may not be payola. You should look up payola and what's defined as payola. But, Kelsey Dion's a fine person. It's not, it is what it is. I'm being pedantic.
Subscribe so you never miss an upload.
I won't.
In my opinion, the biggest news to shake the role-playing game industry is not the Dungeons & Dragons movie premiering this weekend. It's Shadowdark raising over $1 million in less than a month on Kickstarter. If you're out of the loop, Shadowdark takes 5e mechanics like advantage, disadvantage, and mixes it with old-school concepts like lower hit points, random charts, and resource management, and brings the game back to basics, the dungeon. And the response has been overwhelming. Everyone from disenchanted 5e players to old grognards, everyone is talking about Shadowdark. But how did it happen and why now? Why is it so important to the industry? Well, that's the topic of today's video. So I'm Professor Dungeon Master, if you don't know, and this channel is about running the ultimate game of any role-playing game, including Shadowdark. Kelsey's been a long-time supporter of this channel via Patreon, and
boom! She's a long-time supporter of this channel via Patreon. She's a long-time supporter of his channel via Patreon. She's a long-time supporter of his channel via Patreon. She's a long-time supporter of his channel via Patreon. Hey. Now look. He's disclosing that now in episode 316. He could have disclosed that in episode 310 before the Kickstarter, but he didn't. He's disclosing it now after people have already accused him of being a shill. Now that he's been accused of being a shill, this is over a year ago now, but after he was accused of being a shill is when he disclosed that she was a longtime Patreon. He could have disclosed it back then. That would have been 100% honest. Professor DM, you could have disclosed it then. He didn't disclose it until people started calling him a shill, that she was a longtime supporter on Patreon. Now, if she was a longtime supporter on Patreon, she was a longtime supporter on Patreon. Why am I saying she was a longtime supporter? People could say, oh, that's guy that's unrelated. Well, fucking shit. Look, they're saying there was no financial remittance between the two. Well, it is where it is. There was a financial relationship. She was giving them money on Patreon. To what degree? At what tier? Was she giving them extra money on Patreon? That's not disclosed. But look.
Shadowdark. Kelsey's been a longtime supporter of this channel via Patreon, and she's a friend of a mutual friend, Brandish.
Friend of a mutual friend. Longtime supporter on Patreon and friend of a mutual friend. Now, there comes the story that I got wrong. I thought they all went out drinking together, the three of them. And I said that they brought Kelsey Dion and Big Red, this guy with the Elvis Costello glasses and the I'm super awesome with my hand tattoo. You know, guys, the real tough guys have the tattoo on their hand. It hurts when you get the tattoo on your hand. It's like really painful. It's like that's like really tough guys get the tattoo on their hands. This guy could kick my ass. He's only got 1 foot, but he could kick my ass. I hope he doesn't get mad at me and try and kick my ass. I would not like that. If this guy, like if I ever met this guy and he was like, I heard what you said about Kelsey Dion on my DM, and now I'm going to kick your ass. I'd be like, no, don't kick my ass. And he'd be like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to put my hands on you and beat you up. I'm going to do it like that. I'm like, no, don't touch me. No, don't throw me around. And I'd be like, no, don't pick me up. Your hands are all over me.
Him over at Runehammer. And back in October, I visited Philadelphia and we went drinking, which is a story in and of itself.
But that was wild. So those two went out drinking.
For another time. But he was saying that Kelsey was his game master and she was fantastic. She's the greatest game master of all time. She's super intelligent and fun and a genius and so dope. I mean, there's just no end to his superlatives. And the next month I was contacted by Kelsey, who said, we have a mutual friend. I'm kickstarting this game Shadowdark and I think it's up your alley. And would you mind taking a look at it and maybe review it? And I said, well, I can't promise anything, but I'll definitely take a look at it. And when I did, I was blown away. It's so many of the concepts that I have talked about for years. Lower hit points, no.
So there you go. I got some things wrong, but there's some things that I got right. Okay? They went out drinking, and he's talking it up, and it's people networking behind the scenes, and that's fine. But I think that that's one of the things that people didn't understand about what Wagner Satanis was talking about the shadow darking of the scene. It's people. It's he specifically. He didn't say this in his farewell blog post, but he did talk about this a little bit. I think he talked about this a little bit on the final episode of Inappropriate Characters. YouTube influencers, and if you got no problem with YouTube influencers working behind the scenes to orchestrate this stuff, then you've got no problem with that. And that's fine. It's a position. It's a thing about which people can be cool about. Okay? But I'm of the attitude that I just want everyone to know that nothing happens by accident and everything is business. And so stop with this bullshit of it just happened because she's a hard worker, it just happened because it's a great game, or nothing just happens, especially this, because we're going to get to it. This thing was so orchestrated between these people, and it's not the first fucking time that it's Stephen Glicker, it's Professor DM, it's Baron DeRopp, it's Runehammer, it's there's another guy in the mix who's disappeared off the face of the planet. I forget his DM Craft or whatever. And you know, they're locking it down, and people should know that it's not just going to affect people in the OSR. It's going to affect anybody. It's a record industry. And it's just the way it is. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm acknowledging it's the way it is. But it doesn't hurt people to acknowledge the reality of how this shit works. But it does hurt people to play the game of it's just a meritocracy. Everything's just happening. And if anyone calls bullshit, they're just bullshit. And again, I'm not saying RPG Pundit is not full of sour grapes, but to say that there's no one out here, that everyone's full of sour grapes, is a lie. And also this notion that there's an infinite amount of money, and if this person is successful, then that doesn't mean that everyone can't be successful. That's not acknowledging the truth either. And it's not saying that there's some sort of magic thing that if we can twist some dials that everyone's going to be successful. It's just saying, let's, like William S. Burroughs, look at the naked lunch. Look at what's at the end of your fork, and don't bullshit yourselves, and don't bullshit each other. And when I say don't bullshit yourselves, that means that be aware of the fact that if you've got product coming out for Shadowdark, and a controversy about Shadowdark comes up, understand, hey, can you be completely objective if you've got shit coming out from Shadowdark? There's no fucking way you can be objective about this situation if you got shit coming out for Shadowdark. There's no way you can be objective about this shit if you got shit coming out for Shadowdark. My advice is don't put shit out for other people's shit. Stop joining up on people's crap. You know what I mean? Write your own shit. But no one's going to do that because everyone's, chasing dreams. But that's the opinion.
Bonus actions, grimdark vibe, and I was blown away. And I gave her a blurb. Shadowdark is a dungeon crawler with teeth. I think that's what it was, that she could use in a commercial. Then the OGL scandal broke, and I asked Kelsey, what are you going to...
This is important. This is important because this OGL scandal was the biggest hunk of bullshit ever. It was. But whatever. That's a story for another thing. But this is what I mean. Because Professor DM at this point is going to take a mentorship role over Kelsey Dion. He's going to reach out to her, and this is where it's going to get interesting.
To do now? Like, how much of the game are you going to have to change? And she said, I don't know. I have to meet with my lawyers, and we're going to have to hash it out. I might have to rewrite the whole game. So I suggested she make a personal video, where she talked about how the OGL had affected her work, because I think that for many people it was an abstract concept, like it only affected business people or companies, and there are always the people that are like, well, I play first edition, how does it affect me? I thought by putting a face to the problems to show, yeah, this is how it affects the livelihood of a real actual person, it would go a long way to help people understand just how much of an impact Wizards of the Coast yanking that OGL had. And she did that, and that video blew up. She got 50,000 views, and she got a big outpouring of support from the community, and I think it raised the profile of Shadowdark considerably. And when the crisis abated, Shadowdark was in a position to be first out of the gate. So I looked forward with the review and decided to release it on the same day Shadowdark launched on Kickstarter. It's nothing I hadn't done before.
Yeah, now look at that. He released his video on the same day that Shadowdark went up onto Kickstarter. And he goes, oh, but it's nothing I haven't done before. I've done that before. Professor DM, when was the last time you released a video the same day a product went up on Kickstarter?
Just a few weeks prior, I did it with Goodman Games' Dungeon Denizens, for which I was a contributor. And
you did it before on a product that you were a contributor for. You see? Now, I'm not saying that's a smoking gun. But I am saying Professor DM at this point, she's a friend of a friend. She's a longtime Patreon, which is, no offense, financial remuneration to him, a fact he disclosed on the second video he made about the product. And he released a video on the day that the Kickstarter was released, a thing that he has done. Yeah, I've done it before. When was the other time you did it? Oh, I did it on a product that I was a contributor for. There's a unity of interest and there's a unity of behavior. He is behaving in a way as if they are a team. In a way, it can be interpreted that way. Possibly. Can you say, you're looking at patterns in the cloud? Yeah, and maybe your best friend was just coming out of your girlfriend's house when you weren't there because he was just dropping off batteries. What the fuck were you doing at my girlfriend's house? Get the fuck out of here, Jersey boy to Jersey boy. Get the fuck out of here. Come on. Come the fuck on. Come the fuck on. What the fuck were you doing in Japan? The fuck were you doing in Japan? Do you know what they have in Japan? They've got those bars in Japan where the chicks dress up like the sexy maids. I'm not saying that Professor DM was hanging out. You know what else they have in Japan? They got those love hotels. I'm going to have to do some research on this guy. I don't know. I'm kidding. They do not have love hotels in Japan. I don't. Do they?
You can still back that one below. And Ben Milton at Questing Beast gave it a positive review on the same day. Then Runehammer launched his video.
Yeah, and then Runehammer launched his video on the same day. Who else launched their video on the same day?
Then Baron DeRop at Dungeon Masterpiece started talking about it. And then the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Who else did it? Baron DeRop started talking about. He started talking about when he started talking about. He did a Mondo giveaway. He gave away Amazon gift cards. He did a whole game jam about Shadowdark. He gave away Amazon gift cards, a whole bunch of shit. There was an interview in Forbes magazine. Get the fuck out of here. There was that guy House DM. I don't know what House DM did, but they disappeared his ass. House DM is like Runehammer Jr. with black hair and a man bun. But I don't know. It seems like they got rid of that guy.
Kickstarter exploded, and all of a sudden I was hit on Twitter with accusations that I must have taken a bribe or payola to give a review that was that good. Some people claimed it was the work of a Madison Avenue advertising firm.
Kelsey Dion's old lady is a Madison Avenue. I don't think she works at Madison Avenue, but she's a marketing gal. She is. And then people on Natural Ones are like, so what if she's married to a marketing person? Doesn't that make sense to hang out with a marketing person who's good at marketing? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Are we down with marketing people? If you want to be, that just makes sense. There are some people that love capitalism and are like, everything that capitalism does is cool and marketing is awesome. And if you succeed in marketing and you do great stuff in marketing, you're awesome. I go, okay. So it's like if Tanya Harding had been successful and knocked the shit out of Carrington, whatever, then, to the victor goes the spoils. And Anton LaVey and, Rex Talanis, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to, in Minecraft, I'm going to go down to funky east side Philly, and I'm going to, I'm going to take Runehammer's 4 last RPG books, and I'm going to, do something. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? What, the end's justified. Fuck you if you want to go to Madison Avenue and everything's cool. Oh, this whole thing is bullshit. But it doesn't matter anyway, because remember Morkborg? No, neither does Cyborg. None of this shit matters.
And my favorite is Kelsey is not real. She was just a front for the real game designer, whoever that was. Yeah, none of which was true, because I was in
But I do want to point out that this is Professor DM's second video, and it's in his second video that he concedes after he's already been accused of being a shill. This is where he allows us to know that she was a longtime Patreon supporter, and he went out drinking with the Rex Runehammer, redhead, Elvis Costello glasses, and the boo and the boo with the cool tattoos. And I hope that guy doesn't kick my ass if he sees me on the street. I hope he doesn't come up to me like, I wouldn't know what to do if he was like all like, he came up to me and was like intimidating me. I'd be all like, no. It'd be like, it'd be like, because he's bigger than me.
The middle of it. In fact, I did not get a suitcase of money to give Shadowdark a pot.
Get rid of that. It's an expression. The expression is I don't know what the expression is, but it's like, wait, with Professor DM, look, don't fall for it. It's they're accusing me of all these things, or they're saying she was a fake person. It's like, it's a reductio ad absurdum in a way, right?
Positive review. I didn't even get a review copy of the game. I just had.
Yeah, you didn't get a review copy. You got a free PDF because, FYI, in case you're curious, by implication, it's understood that the review copies weren't ready yet, right?
The PDF. It's a case of Occam's razor, where the simplest explanation is the truth.
Yeah, here's the simple explanation. It wasn't until you got busted that you had to tell people that she was a long-term supporter on Patreon. I didn't get busted. I'm being pedantic. Jersey boy. Fellow Jersey boy. You should see the shit that I give to Stephen Glicker.
Kelsey Dion wrote a kick-ass game, and we all loved it. And Shadowdark didn't materialize out of nowhere. Kelsey's been working on this game for 3 solid years. So the main thing that made Shadowdark a success is Kelsey Dion made a great game. And
no, the thing that made it a success is that she made a great game, and then you, Runehammer, Questing Beast, Baron DeRop, House DM, Runehammer, the other guy, you guys engaged in an orchestrated effort to push it. Which is fine. You're allowed to do that, but let's be completely fucking honest. This thing didn't come out of nowhere, and it's not that she's a hard worker. Oh, did we mention the interview in Forbes magazine? How the fuck did that fucking happen?
And worked very hard to perfect it. But there's also something else happening. I think Shadowdark's success is partially due to its counter-programming. Here's a quote from Kelsey's interview with Forbes magazine, where she talks about what's cool about old school role-playing games. Classic elements really emphasize risk calculation and creative problem solving. All iterations of D&D have that, of course, but it becomes the primary focus in classic editions because characters are fragile and fights are not meant to be fair. I think that real and constant sense of danger and the thrill of overcoming it in a moment of well-earned triumph is the major draw to modern gamers interested in the classic gameplay style. Originally, Dungeons & Dragons was a very tough game where characters struggled to survive. You really had to be a clever player in order to make it out of that dungeon alive, let alone level up. 5e, I think most people agree, is a little bit soft between all the death saves and the revivify spells. It's like a game permanently stuck on easy mode. When I play 5e with those death saves especially, I don't feel...
Okay, I think that's what we needed there. So, going back to you guys, let's see what's going on here. CW got to lower the other video? Oh, CW got to lower the video. It's held today, too many stupid people. Fair use is when something becomes legal to use it fair without. Here we go. Ooh, wait, hold on. Up. Unscripted, Unchained review. There seems to be an abundance of glomming on with many of these people. There we go. We got people in the comment section. We got Mercurius Ocelius. She's a friend. Whoop-de-whoop. Whoop-de-doo. Well, look, hey, believe you me. Hey, I concede that I am being pedantic. Kickstarter push. There we go. We say hello. Da-da-da-da-da. We say hello to Robert Redman. We say hello to Pimp Bisquick. Okay. Mercurius, that guy, he wouldn't give a damn. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So what? She's a friend. Whoop the whoop. It is what it is. We say hello to Renee Miss Jonaside. We got Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. We got Science Smile, the community. Okay, here we go. The community manager working to get products he perceived as competing with the game banned from being discussed from various forums and subreddits turned me off wanting to engage with the game. I do not know. Can't hear what you're saying over the video, by the way. Entirely possible. CW got to lower the other video. Wonderful. Sampuku Eyes. I actually had a song. Well, it's great that you didn't get the chance to hear me over the other video. Tim Frey, you know, if you go to the right bars in Japan, the guys dress up like sexy ladies too, kind of like prison. Different rules apply, if you know what I mean. Well, if you didn't hear what I had to say, that's a shame, because I had golden material. What I had to say was this. Look, I'm being pedantic, but she was a long-term supporter on Patreon. Just when it was playing, you were saying something, I couldn't hear what you said. It is what it is. But once you paused, you could hear. Wonderful. Hopefully we heard enough. Look, RPG Pundit is disingenuous. He did go back and forth. He did retract, you know, and it is what it is. I'm not going to go back because I only have a couple of minutes left with you guys. I could go back to Black Lodge Gaming, but it may be enough just to go to my notes. I may, in fact, agree with Black Lodge Gaming's core premise, but they may be incorrect about certain points and premises. And again, it may be a pedantic point, but it's a point all the same, which is to say, I don't think that anyone has committed a high crime and misdemeanor and may not have been, you know, lying through their teeth. But if you look at the actual strict definition of what payola is, I don't think it's exactly accurate to say that there was no remuneration between these people, because she was a long-term supporter of Professor DM and Dungeoncraft through Patreon. And I think there's a reason why Professor DM on the second video, post having been called out for being maybe a Shadowdark shill, discloses that she was. Okay? But then again, there's no, that's one line of financial remuneration for one specific thing, not another thing. So I understand that there's a distinction there, and that's why I keep on repeating that I'm being pedantic. But there's a reason why I think there's a disclosure. I also think that there's a reason to know that it is fairly obvious that it's not just the result of passion and hard work that we see Shadowdark doing what it's doing. Venture Satanis. I've brought House Shadowdark down. Don't count your houses till they've been brought down. You want the truth? You can. Venture, you know what you did do? I'll tell you what you did do, Venture. Don't spoil your victories by misplacing their locations. First of all, I'll put you back up there, baby. You may have brought down RPG Pundit. No shit. I'm going to go through my notes real quick, because here's what happens. Black Lodge Gaming concede that they have taken down their video on RPG Pundit has taken hits from Basic Expert, and he's taken hits. Well, they were already at war with. He was already at war with him, but now Black Lodge Gaming have basically ixnayed him. Lion and Dragon. They had a video on Lion and Dragon where they lionized Lion and Dragon. They've taken that video down. I don't know why they've taken it down. You love your boy. You know what I mean? I made this point in my last video when I was talking about you. I don't know why you stand by that guy, but you got your homies are your homies. Your homies are your homies. I will say this about Black Lodge Gaming: they take an ill view on magicians. They seem to discount the power of the magic. So we'll see what goes on there. Go through my notes. She didn't pay Dungeon Craft. It is what it is. Quote from Kelsey Dion that may be provably false. We went over that. It is what it is. Like I said, you can have your own opinions about what it is. Bucky, not going to lie, it seems like a real mainstream push for an independent game. Strange. Look, Kelsey Dion had money to get the lawyers, to consult with the lawyers. She has all these people pushing for her. Oh, also I want to say this. The reason that Basic Expert was going off saying that there's a whole bunch of people out here in TTRPG land that are talking about being canceled or having been canceled. When I heard Basic Expert say that RPG Pundit had called him Goebbels, I was expecting to find a quote of RPG Pundit, actually calling the Basic Expert Goebbels. What did I find? Look, Black Lodge Gaming in this video, go through it. What happened? RPG Pundit talked about the Basic Expert having, what was that guy, Jeffro Johnson, on his platform. I got no problem with people having people on their platforms, even if they are whatever, right? And I'm half a friendly local neighborhood game store, right? With extras in the back and, free love associations of take all comers and rainbows all over the place and, minorities welcome and, left of the dial. You know what I mean? Because I'm a free speech advocate, It's like Phil Donahue, just because Phil Donahue had skinheads on the set didn't mean that I thought that Phil Donahue was, a Nazi. You know what I mean? Come on. What the heck is going on? But when apparently RPG Pundit referred to the Basic Expert as a minister of propaganda. So he called Basic Expert a minister of propaganda. Goebbels was the minister of propaganda for the Nazi Party. Therefore, by the rule of transitive properties, the Basic Expert was saying, you just called me Goebbels. That's attacking my ability to make money. That's attacking my ability to feed my family. You son of a bitch, you're trying to destroy me. And meanwhile, I'm here on the sidelines. Once I learned that that was what had actually happened, I'm here sitting here going, hold on, motherfucker. Because in my former life on my other YouTube channel, I can tell you a tale. I was talking about a guy called Corey Good, who was taking all sorts of money from all sorts of innocent people and donations or whatever, because he was claiming to be an alien advocate and emissary for the Sphere Being Alliance and the blue Sphere Being avian people or whatever. claiming to be an alien contactee, experiencing all these transcendental thoughts and, communications and whatever. And all I was doing was reviewing his YouTube videos, reviewing his statements on Facebook and whatever, and then going over them and talking about why they didn't make any sense and why they were, foolish and nonsense. And for my efforts, that dude brought a frivolous lawsuit against me in a jurisdiction where there was no jurisdiction against me. To get that thing dismissed for lack of jurisdiction took over like 4 years. I still have a motion pending to get my outstanding attorney's fees paid. In case you're curious, my outstanding attorney's fees are to the tune of over $50,000. Okay? In the meantime, while my hands were tied behind my back because there was this lawsuit pending against me, I couldn't say anything about the guy because there was this lawsuit pending against me, even though it was a frivolous lawsuit in a nonsense jurisdiction. So this guy's taking pot shots against me, having his allies and acolytes contact the New Jersey State Bar Association, making frivolous, nonsensical claims about me, going online, going on YouTube and Twitter, trying to link me to Pizzagate and trying to say that I'm part of some sort of dark alliance, kidnapping, doing horrible things to kids and shit. They were contacting my ex-wife during the pendency of our divorce, trying to get her to flip on me and shit. That's being fucking canceled. That's having shit happen. That's having people try and destroy your life, right? So I'm listening to a lot of people talk about belly aching about being canceled, going, are you kidding me? But it's whatever. And it's like, not to say that those people don't have things to complain about. My pain and suffering doesn't disqualify or discount your pain and suffering, but it's like people need to put shit in perspective. RPG Pundit calling you the minister of propaganda, and the fact that Goebbels was the minister of propaganda. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on. That's affecting your ability to make money. And by the way, the people that people hang out with, if they think that they're never going to wait, like I said at the beginning, if they think that they're never going to wake up and it's never going to be the case that Kelsey Dion is going to turn around and say, hey, I know I backed your last Kickstarter, but because you hang out with this guy, because you hang out with that guy, because you did this, because you said that, no, I can't help you out with this latest one. If they think that that's never going to happen, I don't know if they should bank on that. Not saying that I think that should happen, because I don't think that should happen. But I'm just saying that people should prepare themselves that it might happen. But anyway, it's 6:23, and I told people that I would be getting out of here at 6:30. I think I covered everything. Venger, I appreciate the fact that you showed up again. I dig it. I normally do a tarot card pull, so I got to find me a tarot card real quick. Black Lodge Gaming, you guys are absolutely 100% present in the culture war. And that's your right. And because you're right, look, Venger's here. I dig Venger. He's right of me as all get out. But that doesn't mean if you have different political views of me, right? I get angry about people like Donald Trump because Donald Trump is, was president of the United States, could be president of the United States again, right? He's at near the position of the things of power. Therefore, I get heated. But people at this level, fellow citizens of the world, fellow citizens of my country, we're citizens. We have beliefs, we have positions, we have opinions, and we have those positions and political thoughts and beliefs primarily because of emotions and feelings and psychology. So unless someone has done something violent, unless someone is doing something dangerous or planning on doing something dangerous, their beliefs, their thoughts, and their opinions are beliefs, thoughts, and opinions. And I'm going to do my best to try and tolerate and understand and deal with and try and figure out why people think and feel the way that they do. That's easier said than done. And I'm not saying I haven't done things in the past or said things in the past that are going to be obviously hypocritical of that position. But hold on one second. Science Smile predicts the lovers. We won't know until I grab a deck of cards. I'll tell you what, Venger. I'll tell you what. I was kicking my ass. I didn't want to leave you guys with too much dead air. But I was killing myself. I was hunting around because I was trying to find my Donald Tyson Cthulhu deck. I was killing myself, but I didn't want to leave you guys with too much dead air. So I went with Crowley's Toth. Man, RPG Pundit. Yo, Venger? Yo, check it out. You got to check my hashtags, Venger. Did I spell Chalt correctly? You got to check me on that. I know I don't have the apostrophe. We got to back that Kickstarter, yo. That was what killed me, is that also someone said something about whatever you feel about RPG Pundit, Venger Satanis, man. This guy's politics are not my politics at all, but no. No blade shall touch that man's bald head. Circle of protection upon Venger Satanis and his six fellow travelers on the journey of life. We were like, why do you stand for Venger, man? I go, I don't know why. I have every reason not to. I make fun of the guy all the time. Yo. I better check myself before I wreck myself so I don't get this wrong. We got Prince of Discs. Heir of Earth. So intellect, moving in the physical plane. Doing things, getting things done by the power of our mind. We work the material world beneath us. Make it so. Those who would mock the magician do not understand the power of metaphor that is at work in their life every single day. Who doesn't seek to do? But if you seek to do, what is it that you truly seek to do? If you see that the effects of your actions are nothing but confusion and distraught disorder, is it that the world is mistaken, misaligned, and wrong? Or is it there's something up here that needs to be made right and straightened out? Or perchance I'm being pedantic. Don't blame me. Blame Kelsey Dion. I'm not even into I like fatties, so I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. Do you know what I mean? That's the saddest thing of all. Do you ever been at one of those parties where you're dealing with, you're driving yourself crazy because it's like, you know what I mean? The whole thing is people are going fucking crazy, and you're like, we're all at each other's throats, and we're driving ourselves nuts, and we're about to put each other's eyes out. And if we were on shore, we would all understand completely well. She's like a Birmingham 6. Right? Like after happy hour. It's the reality of the situation, folks, and it's the hour 18 mark. No one's getting here except the true survivors, and you're all going to be dudes. Or chicks that are already dating dudes that are playing TTRPGs. It's the reality of the situation, folks. The bloom's off the rose. Folks, I will see you later at 6:33. Magic numbers. I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, someone just did, and that somebody is celebrated Avenger Satanis Ball Washer, CW Chanter. Oh, at one point, the little guy on Black Lodge Gaming also talked shit about Meatball, which is fucked up. Say what you want about RPG Pundit. When you talk about Meatball, you fucked up. You straight fucked up. I like the feet, though. Talk to y'all later. Peace be upon you. Sorry, OGGM, I went too far. I'll send that video to Unlisted and blah, 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 blah. And I am the best. Everyone else can suck my dick. If you write RPG Pundit, if you write RPG stuff, don't worry, get happy. We're all going to die anyway. And the TTRPG thing is all going underground. No one's going to make any money. Go get a day job because we're all going to be sucking that corporate dick. Okay? Honestly, you will not escape the cubicle. You will not escape the ditch. You will not escape the pod. You will not escape, putting the macadam on the road. You will not escape, selling the real estate. You will not escape anything. You will not escape. You will not escape. Go get a day job. You will have to. No, you will not make any money in TTRPGs. Ha 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 ha. Mwah. Okay? And you're not going to make any money on YouTube either. All of the super chat donations, that all disappears after like the first couple of years. It all disappears. No one's going to be successful. No one. Unless you're a girl. If you're a girl, you're going to have all the success in the world. Look at Ginny D. Oh, if you're a girl, forget about it. You could be a Birmingham 6 and make all the money in the world. But if you're a dude, forget about it. You're just, oh God. You know what I mean? Oh, forget about it. I'm kidding. I'm bitter. No, I'm not. I'm going to go see my kids. I love y'all. I'll talk to you later. Peace.